Welcome to Assessment and Validation Assessment. In this assessment, you'll see you've got your cover sheet, which you'll put your name, the assessment units, and it's a description here that it's 2 projects, one using an assessment plan, and you'll probably use your assessment from Assessment 1 and the other using an RPL process. Both must be to different AQF levels. There's also revision questions. This assessment's due 10 weeks after Assessment 2. Your feedback will be provided formative, which means that it'll be provided as we go, and it'll be written, a formal written feedback will be handed in at the end. This assessment is graded competent or not yet competent, or you may have a resit. You're also required to sign and date to say that this is your own work. Okay, let's scroll down. In this area, I'll let you read through this yourself, as it's instructions to the candidate and to the learner. Just particular notice here to training.gov, where the elements of competency, the performance criteria, the critical aspects of evidence and why this assessment is created the way it is, you'll see in each of the units of competence that are at training.gov. The next area is the learning resource and the textbook that's required for these units. You should already have this by now. Okay, assessment requirements, it's competent or not yet competent, and the learning outcome at the end of the assessment. I'll just go down now to your learning and assessment plan. There's templates available for you to use on the assessment and validation page in the Moodle. There's the prescribed text that you should already have. There's activities throughout each section. They're not compulsory, but they're there to extend your knowledge. And you're not required to do the assessment tasks at the end of each chapter, as they will be in this assessment here. So we're covering 4 areas throughout this assessment, and it should take you approximately 60 hours. So your required readings are here, and it's called Assessment 3. And there's also questions to be answered. You're required to make 2 posts to the forum. So you're required to explain to the group how you incorporate reasonable adjustment into your RPL. And you must post to the forum and tell the group how you complete assessment validation processes. Okay, let's have a look at the outline of the assessment. So to complete this assessment, you're required to plan and organise 2 assessment activities for a training program, preferably the training programs you developed in Assessment 1 and 1A, as these are to two different qualification levels. So you must provide documentation covering the range of assessment events, and you'll also do one as an RPL process, or recognition of prior learning. You'll show contextualisation, how you've made it suitable for your target group, include reasonable adjustment strategies, and you'll also create simple assessment instruments or tools. You'll also do assessment validation meetings. So again, I've got the checklist here. So you'll do your forum postings. You'll also outline a scenario, or you can continue from Assessment 1 to say that they're now ready for their assessment event. You'll have your unit of competency, or you'll continue from Assessment 1. You'll also develop an assessment plan based on the training and assessment strategy from Assessment 1. So I'll just bring across our assessment validation page from our Moodle. Whoop, gone too far. And if we go into templates here, you'll see that we've got our assessment plans as we go through. So assessment plan, open, and this is an example assessment plan here. You can use this and just white out the names and continue through. Oops, I'll just lost my mouse, and I shall close that. I'll just move it out the way. Okay, you'll also develop an assessment matrix. Now that is so your assessment plan is a plan to tell an auditor or your learner how you're going to assess them and how your assessment meets all the elements of competence. So you're not assessing to the wrong elements. Your assessment matrix, it tells you how you're going to gather your evidence, whether it's like from a role play or an observation or oral questioning. So that puts into place then what sort of assessment tools you'll use. Using your unit of competency, you will contextualize it for your target audience. For me, back in assessment 1, it was for Big Bob's Real Estate. So I would contextualize my assessment still with the WHS saying, let's use Big Bob's templates and let's use Big Bob's equipment all the way through with my WHS. Reasonable adjustment strategies. Now my people with the site, the visual, and with Matthew with his Spanish as a second, English as a second language, because he was from Spain, I would make sure I have reasonable adjustment requirements in there. And I'm going to create 2 simple assessment instruments, so such as an observation checklist, maybe a little theory test or a questionnaire. So have a look, you'll see as you go through your readings different assessment tools that you can use. So choose the ones that are in your unit. You'll then be required to prepare some instructions for the candidate, just so they know how they're going to create their assessment, similar to what I'm doing now. So instructions being that it's due on a certain date, how they're to work through it, what readings they might need to read through. Instructions for another assessor or a facilitator, such as how long is the assessment for, is there anything that the facilitator needs to bring to the assessment process. Maybe if it was changing the tyre on a car, they'd have to make sure they're in a workshop and that the hoist works properly. So in special instructions to the facilitator or assessor. A marking guide. Now a marking guide should be created, so if you've got questions or you're asking for evidence, you should have a marking guide so another assessor can make the same decision. So you might have suggested answers to the questions that you're asking, or if you want someone to provide a risk matrix on WHS, you might have suggested answers in there if it was based on a scenario of someone falling over the filing cabinet drawer. You're also to complete an assessment competency report, providing feedback to the candidate, and as you'll see, there's examples provided, and also a mapping document. So mapping your assessment tools to your assessment tools to the units. Okay, so our next assessment task. So with the next assessment task, they're very similar, except this time we're going to do an RPL process. So you could use assessment 1A if you like for this one. So implement a range of assessment tools when you're assessing RPL. So this would be slightly different because you're asking the candidate to prove that they can do these things. So you might give them a list of documents that they could supply. So for example, if it was my Big Bob and I had somebody there who said, look, I've been doing WHS for many years and I have a certificate and all that sort of thing, I might say, well, could you prove to me that you can fill in a hazard report form, and they'll go and get these documents and be able to prove it to me. So again, show contextualization, make sure that you're talking about big bobs if it was for the RPL process, instructions to the facilitator, a suggested marking guide, something that you would be looking for that people could follow, or like another assessor could follow. A feedback form, again, to the candidate. In this one, I'd like a separate document just explaining how you use professional judgment, and you'll see as you read through your book that there'll be a little section on professional judgment to make your assessment decision. Also, how your assessment is recorded and filed. You're also to carry out a review of the assessment and document your findings, and you'll find a template and information on page 320 in your reading. The next one is task 3. This is for validation. So you need a clear explanation and the purpose of validation, and again you'll find on the Moodle examples of validation. So you're required to have a validation meeting and show the process that's required for validation. As we move down, there's the revision questions for you to answer, and they're fairly straightforward. So again, good luck with your assessment. Remember, I'm in the coffee shop from 6 till 8 on a Tuesday night, and I'm available on a Wednesday for phone questions and things like that. Also, if you send me an email, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So good luck and enjoy. Bye.